يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن بالفضل والتيجان.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Dear viewers, welcome to another Just Ask Islam show on Guidance TV. Inshallah, we will be receiving your questions live. Whenever you have a question, please call us at the number that shows on the screen. And before we start to get your questions, I have a few questions that I received. One of the questions here is about the Sharia compliant way of seeking a spouse, particularly for people who don't have enough exposure to the other gender. So how do they find a spouse? That's a good question, because a lot of people, they wonder, if we don't have premarital dating in Islam, so how do you find your spouse? And in all honesty, people think that premarital dating will get you to know enough about the spouse before you get married, but it is really not true. Like, you still can act during this period until you get married and you're locked into the relationship together, and then more of the hidden qualities will start to show. So it is not really true that you could actually have a clear understanding about the spouse through premarital dating. But maybe the question is simpler than that. It's not about that. It's just about how do you get to know some people from the other gender. And there are many ways. There are multitudes of ways. So one of the ways to do this is basically to go to places where there are people of the other gender, such as Islamic conferences, and you would be looking for a certain type of people. So there are certain types of events, functions, and so on that would have those people. The other thing that the other means to this is basically through friends and family members that would be able to recommend someone good to you, and then you could ask about them, and then you could actually go to their workplace or their college or wherever they are and observe them before you get married to them. Ask around and get to know them a little bit more. Then there is also the other contemporary means that today's technology provides for us, which is the virtual world, matrimonial services, online matrimonial services. That also is a possibility, although, hold on, let me just get this phone call, and then I'll go back to answer the rest of the question. Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, you want me to give you the question? It's about Fajr prayer.
Okay, brother, go ahead.
Okay, I want to know, like, here in DC area, the time for Fajr is today, it's started at 6:05.
In the DC area.
What is the exact time? Can we pray Fajr prayer starting at 6:05, or is it a rough time? What's the actual time to start the prayer?
Okay, so you're saying that in the DC area, the Fajr time is at 6:05?
Yeah, I just want to know the starting time of prayer. Like, they have it in calendar?
Yeah, well, let me tell you this. You follow one
For example, right now it's 6:05 to start Fajr prayer. So is it the starting time? Can we start praying around 6:05, or do we have to delay a little bit later?
No, you could start the prayer at 6:05, But what I recommend for you is to find a calendar that is followed by your local community, your local masjid, your local community. Find the calendar that they follow, so that every community is following pretty much the same calendar. So go to your local masjid, get the calendar from there, and follow that one. If you don't have a local masjid, then I would recommend for you to follow the ISNA calendar. One of the most accurate ones is the ISNA calendar. But if you have a local community, then you follow the calendar that is provided by your local masjid or your local community. Is that clear? And then you just follow it. Don't second guess it. Just follow it.
Okay, I have another question.
Yes, go ahead.
Like in a prayer, can we recite a dua qunut during the sujood, or is it only for nafila?
In the further prayer, dua al-qunut is called the dua al-qunut when it is done, before or after ruku'. But if you want to make the same dua during sujood, it is a permissible dua to make it any time. So you could make it. It would not be necessarily dua. It would not be necessarily called dua al-qunut in this case, but the same wording of dua al-qunut, you could use it during your sujood if that is what you desire to do.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Wa alaikum salam. Going back to the issue of how do you find a spouse, and we were talking about going to the events where those particular types of spouses that you're looking for, potential spouses, would be around family members, and this may be your number one means of getting across to the other gender. Your sisters, your family members, your friends would get you, would give you recommendations, and they know you, they know the other party, and they would give you recommendations. And it is one of the best deeds that people could do, is to match up people in this way that are suitable and compatible for one another. And then I said the virtual world, online matrimonial services, that also is a possibility, particularly that Muslims live in a vast, a vast area of land in North America, and if you think about it, 6 million Muslims in the United States, or even 7 or 8, spread out in this way. It may sometimes be hard. But if you do take that route, then you want to be very careful. You want to be very safe. You want to use very trustworthy services. And at the same time, you do want to do your due diligence in knowing the other party before you make any commitment. And that is what Islam offers in the period of engagement. So initially, Islam gives a stepwise graduation into marriage. We have the engagement, we have the period of being contracted without consummation, and then we have the consummation. So first you could get to know the person, observe them, you could talk to them until you're comfortable, get to proceed with the engagement. And then between the engagement and getting contracted, you could get to know them better, more. You could meet them at their home, in the presence of family members, or even, not necessarily in the presence of family members in the same room. But if you're in an open room and there are family members around, you could get to talk and, discuss your expectations and aspirations and dreams and objectives in this life. You get to know whether you are in sync or not, all of this. And you could take your time until you make the decision to get contracted. Once you have gotten contracted, then you could go out together. You could basically go out alone together because you're basically technically married. It's just that you have decided to defer the consummation of marriage. So you could get to know each other a little bit more, a lot more, in fact. And then if you decided that you're absolutely compatible, then you proceed with the consummation of marriage. So it is not really blinded marriage. It is a very well-informed marriage, but it is also somewhat regulated to preserve the honor and the dignity of both parties, particularly the sisters. It is a little bit regulated, but it is not really blind, and we should not think of it as blind. We said, you observe first, then until you talk, until you get engaged, and between engagement and getting contracted, there could be more visitation at home because people know that you're engaged now, so you could visit them at home. The families could visit the families, and they would allow you to sit in a room that is not closed and talk, and then when you're comfortable, you get contracted, and then you could go out alone, and then when you're completely comfortable, then you could decide on the consummation of marriage. But like I said, through friends, through family members, you could get to know the other, find the potential suitor through attending events where potential suitors may be around, and the last resort would be the virtual world, the matrimonial services from very trustworthy services, until you get to know the person, but you don't make any online commitments, which is what some people do, which is crazy, to make a commitment online because you have got to know someone online. This is not something that we should do at all. You just really need to see the person and to know them in person. But it is just to give you access, this online thing, to give you access. That's all. Now, I have another question here that no, it's not ringing. I have another question here from the audience here in the studio. And okay, so I guess I'll defer this one. I'll get this one. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Just Ask Islam.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. How are you doing today?
Alhamdulillah. Good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I'm calling from, this is Khalid calling from Georgia.
Yes, Akhi, I know. By now I know for sure. Yes, Akhi. Go ahead, Brother Khalid. No, go ahead, Brother Khalid.
Okay. My question is, somebody went to make Hajj from Arafah to Muzdalifah, and there have been too much traffic, so they were not able to get to Muzdalifah before they were not able to stay in Muzdalifah. Actually, in between, so they have to pray Maghrib and Isha on their way. So they get to Muzdalifah in the morning for Fajr prayer. So in this case, did they have to make any sacrifice?
No,
It's
Akhi.
not their fault. It's traffic.
Yes, Akhi. It is not their fault. It is traffic, so they don't have to sacrifice if they got stuck in traffic between Arafah and Muzdalifah.
No.
Yeah. No, they don't need to sacrifice.
They don't say, okay, alhamdulillah.
Yes.
Okay. My last one, I know you're busy.
Yeah.
What about somebody who filed a bankruptcy?
Yes.
Somebody filed a bankruptcy, and when he filed the bankruptcy, everything went through. They asked him not to pay the debt. In between him and Allah, will he owe me anything? If he die, will Allah going to hold him responsible because he didn't pay? He filed a bankruptcy.
Okay, if you file a bankruptcy and then you owe certain individuals money, and then you become basically solvent one more time, and you're capable of paying them back, then you pay them back, those individuals. But if it is the government and the government forgives you, or governmental agencies and they forgive you because you filed bankruptcy, they exempt you and so on, you don't have to pay the government back because you filed bankruptcy with the government. They accepted that you were truthful, you didn't lie to the government, you gave them all the information correctly, and then they exempted you from payments, then you're exempt. But because they have the right to exempt you from their own dues, rights. But when it comes to individuals, those individuals will continue. You will continue to be indebted to them. You will continue to owe them the money until you pay it back to them. So in Islam, if you're insolvent, then you're forgiven until you become solvent one more time and capable of paying. Then you pay when that happens.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's so severe.
Yes. Okay. All right, Akhi. I will hang up now and then.
Okay. Thank you very much. May Allah bless you.
You too, Akhi. Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, the issue of debt is a major issue, and the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith, an authentic hadith by Imam Muslim, that a man will be forgiven for all of his sins except for the debt, and that exception, that contingency, was revealed to him on the spot by Jibreel alayhi salam, as the Prophet ﷺ taught us. So the matter of debts is a huge thing. Inshallah, when we come back from the break, I will talk more. Assalamu alaikum.
يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace and blessings be upon all of you. One of the aims of Islam is to create a society that peacefully coexist with one another. It is my firm belief that ignorance breeds fear, and if we want to get rid of ignorance, we have to educate. I appreciate what Guidance TV is doing, educating our public in order to be better informed so that we're not afraid of one another, so that we can all peacefully coexist. Get guided with Guidance TV.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Guidance TV is doing amazing work, and it needs your support. Running a satellite channel, running a TV station is not cheap. It takes money, it takes time, it takes commitment, and it is absolutely an obligation for you, all of you, to donate generously to help this amazing project. And don't forget, get guided with Guidance TV.
Get guided with Guidance TV.
يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن بالفضل والتيجان.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back. So I have this question here about khushu' outside the salah, and how do you maintain khushu' outside the salah? You know, khushu' is the concept of serenity, stillness, that we should have in our salah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the beginning of Surah Al-Mu'minun, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. prospered or prosperous will be the believers, those who have khushu', those who are khasha' in their salah. And khushu' is basically the stillness, the tranquility of the exterior and interior. Not only the exterior, but also the interior. So khushu' has to do with a lot of things. Has to do with stillness, quietness, integrity. Has to do with humbleness and humility. We use the word humility with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more often, and people like your parents and so on, and with the rest of the creation you show humbleness. Sometimes also you show humility. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said أَذِلَّةٍ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, that they show humility to the believers. But how do you maintain this outside of the prayer? And this is a very good question, because actually when people ask us how do we have khushu' inside the prayer, then the answer would be, if we have khushu', and this is not basically an easy matter, so the speaker, the preacher, is in need of khushu' as much as the listener is. Let me get this question, and then I'll go back to yes. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Go ahead, akhi.
Yes, Sheikh, I have a question. I work for this insurance company, the insurance electronics. Even though I'm not involved with the contract, like when it comes to subscribing all that, all I do is I'm involved in inspection of products, and I'm asking if the earnings, like the money that I earn, is it halal or haram, or is it mixed?
Okay, no, I did not get the question, akhi. Repeat one more time.
Okay, so I work for an insurance company.
Yes.
The insurance product, electronics.
The company insures electronics. Okay.
Right.
And what do you do? What type of work do you do for them?
Inspection. I supervise the inspectors and all that.
Inspection. So, like,
right.
you inspect the product before it gets insured.
Right. Before it gets shipped to the customer. Yeah.
Before it gets shipped to the customer.
Right.
So that company owns the product. The company possesses the product and then it ships it to the customer.
Right. And the company is an insurance company.
But an insurance company owns electronics?
Right. Like when you go, like for example, if you go and buy Xbox or whatever electronics, right? And they ask you if you want to buy insurance on it, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
If it breaks down or something happens to it or it gets lost or stolen, you call this company and then they ship you another one.
I see.
You pay that monthly.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me tell you one thing, brother. So, in general, insurance of products, let me tell you, let's just break it down a little bit. When you insure a product, when you buy a product and buy the insurance with the product at the time of purchase, before separation, the buyer and the seller are still, have not finalized the contract yet, and have not separated, and you buy the warranty with the product, that is acceptable, because then the warranty is considered a secondary clause in the primary contract. The subject matter of the contract is sale, and attached to this is an additional basically advantage in this product. I am selling you this computer or laptop for $700, but if you pay $900, I will also give you a 2-year warranty on the laptop. So you will have the laptop with a 2-year warranty for $900. That is halal. Now, next step is when you buy a product and it is yours, and then the insurance company gives you a warranty on it after you had purchased it. So now this becomes the primary transaction in this contract. And in fiqh, or in Islamic legal, the Islamic legal system, secondary concessions or leniency is shown with secondary clauses more than primary transactions in any contract. So in this case, the warranty will not be permissible. From your end as an inspector, the type of work that you do for the company is halal, because what you're doing, you're not the person that is overseeing the contract itself, whether it is number one or number two, right? You're basically an inspector. So in your case, there is no problem. Also, for insurances, for insurance in general, there are certain types of insurance that we consider them to be halal for a need, and that's a different story. That does not particularly pertain to your business, because I don't think that people actually have a pressing need for warranties on electronics. But home insurance, car insurance, things of that nature, many of the people do need to obtain those types of insurance, because not having it could make them subject to great hardship if something happens to their property or to their car or whatever. Is that clear? So I don't think that there is a problem in the type of work that you do.
As long as the type of the work is good, right?
What?
It's permissible for...
What's that? I could not...
As long as the type of work is permissible in Islam, right?
I think yes, I believe the type of work that you do is permissible in Islam.
Okay. Alright, jazakallah khair.
وإياكم. الله يبارك فيك.
Okay, shukran.
وإياكم. السلام عليكم.
يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Yusuf DrHatem. I'm a Quran reciter and a Quran teacher, also an imam and director of the Quran school at Islamic Center of San Gabriel Valley, California. Alhamdulillah. Do we need Guidance TV? Yes, we do. We really need people to understand this beautiful religion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with. And through this channel, people will understand, and God will open their hearts and understand the real message. This channel will tell you the real thing about Islam. You're not gonna go. Someone else is not Muslim. He's gonna tell you about Islam. You have to go to the right person, and this is the right channel to watch and listen and open your heart to understand this beautiful religion. Thank you for watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Get guided with Guide Us TV.
يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن بالفضل والتيجان.
On the seerah of the Prophet, the seerah of the companions, the best generations, you learn how humble they were. You learn, despite their greatness, despite their righteousness, despite their high ranking with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala among the believers in throughout human history, how humble they were towards the rest of the creation, and how much humility they had shown to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Take every chance, every opportunity to reflect on your weakness and the weakness of your humankind. Visit the sick, go to the hospitals, visit your sick brothers and sisters, see the pain and the suffering people go through. When you listen to the news, be also thoughtful of the news that you listen to. All of this, I think, all of this with wisdom and like open heartedness will allow you to reach that point where you are showing humility to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time. It's the heart of brokenness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves of His servant, because we should have this heart of brokenness. One of the righteous predecessors used to say that the heart of brokenness of the sinner is more beloved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the forcefulness of the obedient. So inshallah, with reflection, with recognition, more realization of us human beings, of yourself, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will have more humility towards Allah and more humbleness towards His creation. Now, I got a couple of questions also here. One of them is about how do we counter extremism. That probably we can't answer in the couple of minutes that we still have. I guess we only have a couple of minutes to the end of the show. So yes, and then the other question is reciting Quran for the dead. Is it a bid'ah? No, it is not a bid'ah. It's a controversial matter, and the majority of the Muslim scholars allowed the recitation of the Quran on behalf of the dead, to recite the Quran and to grant the thawab to the deceased is the position of the majority. The Shafi'is have a different position. They believe that you can't grant the thawab to the deceased, but according to the Shafi'is, you could recite the Quran, and then you make dua, supplication for Allah to give the deceased a reward equal to the reward of your recitation. So some of the scholars said that you cannot recite the Quran for the deceased. Some of the scholars said that you could recite it on behalf, meaning giving the reward. You recite with the intention that the reward goes to the deceased. Some of the scholars who said you can't recite it, they came back and said, but you could make dua for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the reward of your recitation will be granted. The equal of that reward will be granted to the deceased. This would be the last question that we had in this show, and inshallah we'll see you back next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.